And I believe I am live. Uh, Thank you for being here tonight, and welcome to Scrolling and Making with Russ. I know I haven't changed some of the signs on some of the things for Scrolling and Making with Russ, so usually it just says Scrolling with Russ, which that's what we're doing right now. So I guess it don't make a difference in so many words, but appreciate y'all being out there. We already got a lot of people out there in the chat, and Chris Nealon's out there, Jim Bashir's is out there, Aussie Man's out there, Matt Haas is out there. I mean, good Lord have mercy, I got a bunch of y'all good friends out there in the chat already. Dave Hart is here, yes. So Chris Nealon, Michelle Marcoux is out there. That one I can't tell the name, and I don't think my glasses are here. Uh, I can't read his name, but anyway, I'll get my glasses before it's all over. Usually I have them sitting right up here, but I used them earlier to do something, and I forgot to lay them back down here on the bench. Who is that underneath, guys? Who's that underneath Michelle Marcoux's name in the chat? Brian? Alright, Brian. Alright, I'll just call him Brian. Alright, well, Brian's here. Yep, Brian at the loom. Right, Brian. Well, I'm just going to call him Brian. Hi, Brian. So, we're back again tonight, and we're going to go right straight on into the Intarsia stuff. If you don't understand what we're doing, go back and watch the first video. We started out cutting the patterns and actually cutting the patterns so I could attach them. We started attaching them to the species of wood. These are two of the pieces that I need to cut out that are attached to the walnut. So go back and watch that. I don't think I'm going to get to the walnut cutting tonight. I just want to lay it up there because this is the piece of red oak that we're going to be working on cutting, and as thick as it is, and I have a feeling it's going to take me pretty much the whole show to cut these pieces out. And if it does, then I'm going to cut out some of the other pieces so we can do some sanding so y'all can see how that is. And another thing, if you would go to my YouTube channel, I built a really nice stand for my Guinevere sanding system. And it's a mobile stand. I'll be able to pull it around, go anywhere I want to with it. And it will work out pretty good. I'll pull it up here before the night's over and show it to you if Al and Paul will remind me. I'll pull it over here because I'm looking at it. It's right over there. So I'll have them remind me and I'll pull it over here and show it to you. But I think that's going to be beneficial when I go to do some sanding. So yeah, I don't know if they're going to allow you to Al's trying to get the link in the chat, but I don't think Twitch will allow that. Alright, so he's going to try that. Alright, so anyway, I'm very excited about having that sander cleans for sent it to me, and I'm going to use it doing some of this project right here. One thing, I'll just wait to describe it to you when we get it over here when I pull it around. It's because I haven't pulled it around yet. But so we'll cut as much as we can tonight in this red oak. And here's the thing you have to realize. Now I'm using a number 3 Pegasus Ultra Reverse blade on this. This was red oak and it's about 1 inch thick. So first off, if you're going to cut something like this, don't get in a hurry. I can tell you that right off the bat. Just don't get in a hurry. Go very slow. Take your time. First off, you'll bow the blade, you'll bend the blade, and your pieces won't come out nice and even and square. You'll break your blade. You'll push it too fast. It'll get too hot and it'll break. Just take your time when you're doing something like this and let the saw blade do its job and the saw do its job, and just push along real slowly. Don't get it's not like cutting a piece of 1/4 inch Baltic birch plywood, trust me. And that's all you can do. Just take your time, go slow, follow the line, It's incredibly important that you follow the line on this because you want the pieces to fit together nice and snug. So, but if I had one word of advice at this point, that would be slow and easy, slow and easy. You know, don't push too hard because that's going to be your enemy. Pushing too hard, trying to go too fast, the blade will bow. You'll have problems and everything else. So, before I go any further, let me talk about my wonderful sponsors. And they are Devobal Technologies for web design, development, and hosting. They're all right here on the list. Hosting, visit devobal.com. FastCap, innovative products for the professional woodworker. Go to fastcap.com. Rockler, 60 years in woodworking. Create with confidence. Visit rockler.com. Bearwood Supply Company, your best choice to find hard to find woodworking supplies. Go to bearwood.com. That was a tongue twister. Klingspor, the sanding specialist, which is really gracious to me about the Guinevere sander. The sanding specialist, woodworkingshop.com, and Seiko, the scroll saw specialist, which is the ST21 scroll saw that I'm using tonight here cutting out this Intarsia project. So, and this is what we are, if you haven't joined me before, this is what we're working towards. And the main pieces I'm going to be cutting out tonight are going to be these lighter brown pieces, like the back side of this tail. I think it's on here. His legs or thighs right in here, his back, his arms, those are the pieces that we have here. Matter of fact, here's the back side of his tail right here that we're going to be cutting out. This is his thigh, I believe, which is one of the biggest part. There's his arm up here. So these are the pieces we're going to be cutting out tonight. So that's what we got going. Russ is making a little nutcracker. Yeah, no, I'm not making him. He ain't gonna crack no nuts because he's dead. He's a piece of wood, but they are nutcrackers. Let me tell you. I sit out there and they go in our. We have tons of squirrels in our yard because we have a lot. I have 16 oak trees on my lot, so they're out there eating those acorns, just and spit it out and go to the next one. I'm like, dang. Okay. Paul wants to know how many squirrels does it take to make a good meal. I don't know. I don't shoot them. I refuse. My dad used to shoot squirrels and bring them home. We'd eat them, but I refuse to shoot any animal. I used to go hunting when I was a kid. I went hunting with my dad. I taught my kids hunting. And I've gotten older. I just, I refuse to eat any animal like that out in the wild. I just think, I don't think we need to go hunting anymore to hunt our food. I know the male species is all beefed up, need to go hunting and everything, but I don't think we need to do that. Now, if there's a problem, if you've got a farmer that posts, I think this is the way it ought to be. You ought to be in a guild of hunters, and if a farmer has a problem with a lot of hogs, because hogs can really overrun an area, and he has a problem, then they ought to issue these into this guild of these people who go out and they hunt hogs and hunt so many to try to thin out the crowd. That's the kind of hunting I would think that you need to do, not just running and killing these. And I don't say they're innocent animals. I am a hunter. I have my sons hunt, my grandsons hunt, my son-in-laws hunt. We're a hunting family. And I will honestly say they don't kill to waste. If they shoot a deer, it gets brought in and cut up, and they eat the venison and everything off of it. So, but the same aspect, I'm like, I don't think it's necessary. I think some of these species are struggling to survive as it is. So, I don't think we need to be hunting anymore. That's just my personal opinion. Take it with a grain of salt. Opinions are like buttholes. Everybody's got one, and everybody stinks. So.
It's just like opinions.
Yep. Yep. That's what I said. Opinions are like buttholes. Everybody's got one, and everybody stinks. It's your opinion, and you're probably sitting out there going like, "Your opinion stinks, Russ." Well, yeah. Well, you're right. Probably does. So, I've already started cutting into this. I just wanted to get the feel of it. because I haven't cut anything this thick in quite some time. So this is red oak, and this is a number 3 Pegasus Ultra Reverse blade. And I say that I am surprised that this Pegasus was doing fantastic. How many blades I'm going to go through to cut all this, I have no idea. If I go through only a couple, maybe 3, I will totally be like blown away, because red oak is not an easy cut for a saw blade, and not at 1 inch thick. So here we go. Oh, let me turn on my, something fell behind me. Hope it wasn't important. Let me turn on my vacuum cleaner. It's for my Squirrel NATO scroll saw vacuum system. The Squirrel NATO is the fantastic for doing this, but you'll see I'm not going to go real fast. I'm going to take my time. I don't know how many of these pieces I'll actually get cut out tonight, to be honest with you. But we're going to go until I get them cut out, or the 1 hour or so ends. I have to say that I'm really impressed with the way these Pegasus blades cut in this 1 inch thick red oak. Is it cutting any faster than a Flying Dutchman? I can honestly say I don't know, because I haven't cut anything this thick and so long with any blade. And it seems like cross grain, as I can tell you right off the bat, as I'm cutting the cross grain, it cuts a lot easier than along with the grain. It seems to love the cross grain. I mean, it speeds up really fast when I'm going along the cross grain, relatively compared to the end grain. Or now I mean with the grain. Alright, I think I can break this piece off, because it's definitely not really worth anything. And let's see how this did. Wow, I'm actually impressed. Really not a lot of burning. Yeah, that's a nice cut. Smooth, really nice and smooth. I mean, yeah, I'm really impressed as to how it did it. Wow. Okay. And you notice I kept it with the grain of the wood until the grain of the wood's running that way with the arrow. So, alright, we got our first piece cut out. Set it over here, wipe my hands, and let's go with let's go on up with this piece. This is kind of a small piece. Now I need to look at what I'm cutting to make sure I know what I need to cut. Okay, so this is the line that I need to cut right here. And it's going to follow down and around, up over here, then down, then over, then over, then up. Yep, that's the way I'm going to cut it, because this does not get cut. This does not get cut. Okay, so I guess you just follow along with me and hope I cut it right. That's all I can say. So this is part of his eye, but it doesn't get cut in this brown or the red oak. So it comes up around like this. And it's going to take a 90 right here. And in this thick of material, I don't like doing a real hard 90. So I'm going to back up and make some cuts. And so this is the waist area on my right hand side. This side over here is waist. So I'm making room for this blade so that I can turn it and start cutting this way. Yes, it is running at full speed. Yep, the Seiko is at full speed. Now once again, this is requiring a 90 turn, so I'm going to back up and do me some gnawing out here, which should make it easier to turn the blade, and off we go this way. Wow, when you get on this cross grain, this thing really like flies. I'm going to try to turn it on this cross grain since it's doing, wow, that turned really, really, really easy. I'm really shocked how easy that turned. It's like the grain or the blade really likes cutting the cross grain. Alright, so I'm going to go out here, spin around, and come up and catch the end of this and come up into this next piece to make that tip. See, now I'm cutting with the grain, and it's actually slowed up considerably cutting with the grain. And once again, that's a pretty abrupt 90. Well, actually what I could do is just do the same thing I did before. Come out, circle around, and then go back in. And cut. I want to tell you, as soon as I go to cross grain, it's like night and day with the cut of this blade. Totally incredible how it likes the cross grain so much better. Okay, so I'm back to the beginning. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to back up over here to this corner where it was really nice and close. And I'm going to cut this section out. Just to be able to get this piece here out of the way. It's scrap wood anyway, it's no big deal. I'm going to be able to pull this piece out, which is the piece I want. Ooh, nice and tight. Yeah, there it goes. That was the piece I wanted right there. Okay. Let's go ahead and go to, let's do these two pieces next. Now this is just a plain around, but it does require a slot back up in. It looks like his fingers, I believe it is. So it just comes straight out into here. Follow this. I'm going to try to make a turn here. Whoa, that went beautifully. I can honestly say. And then we're going to turn right on up into here. And make like the relief cut for his finger. I'm going to back out. I'm setting them aside at this point. I'm not putting on the pattern. I don't have the pattern laid out for me to do that yet. I didn't get to that yet. Since I had my twin grandkids over today, I didn't have time to set that up. But I'm only going to be doing this red stuff, so if you'll, Paul asked me if I was putting the stuff on top of the pattern like I should be, but I didn't have time to put this down under any plexiglass, so therefore, no, I haven't. But this piece here that I cut is this piece around the eye. Here, let's see if I can get this better. Up here around the eye that you can see. And then this big piece I cut is for back here. So, yeah, we had our twin grandkids over today. So I watched them all day long. I had barely enough time to, my wife works at home, so she was helping, but I cooked dinner, come out here, set all this up, and got going, so I didn't have time to get the pattern set up, which on this project, as small as it is, to be honest with you, I really didn't need to, but I will set it up so I can put the pieces on it when I get through with doing this. I'm going to go back and cut this out across here. This waste material anyway. We'll make this easier to fall out. So I will line up all these pieces at the end of the show that I get cut out for you. I'm just going to cut this piece of waste out here. Get rid of it. I think I'm coming up to the middle of this, so I'm going to cut one more little piece out right here, and then we're going to go to this big back piece over here. So this piece is going to go next. Why? Because it's what I want to do. I mean, you can make your own preferences. There ain't no rhyme or reason to what pieces I'm cutting out or why I'm cutting them out. It's just the way I'm going to do it. You could have already, I could have already cut the tail out as far as that goes. It's not like any big deal. I'm going to make a little hole over here so I can turn my blade and come up with this. Yes, that worked fantastic. Come back around and down and boom. And I got it to pop out. So notice there's no burning. It's cutting absolutely fantastic. Alright, so let's go for this big piece here, which is the back side of the tail. Where can I get this in here? Yeah. It's this piece here. This brown piece, it's the back side of the tail. Let's go for it. I think I'm going to punch out and come down here and start right here. Like I said, let the machine and the blade determine how fast you go. If it speeds up in certain areas, that's great. And if you feel it slow down in certain areas, that's great. I am feeling a big time slowdown when I'm going with the grain. It seems like it has a little bit harder of a time cutting along the grain than I'm having with it cutting across the grain. When I cut across the grain, it just really goes lean and mean. No, all the wood that I will be cutting is 1 inch thick. The walnut, the maple, everything I use will be 1 inch thick. And I'm not having a real hard time. I mean, it's cutting pretty good. I haven't cut really thick wood like this in a while. So, it's cutting really well. No, this 1 inch wood I milled myself. I had a piece that was 2¼ inches and split it, which made it, with the exception of the saw blade width on the bandsaw. So I split it to be 2¼ so it came out to be 1 1/8, and I sanded it down to be 1 inch on my drum sander. So I had this wood, I had the walnut, which was thick. I milled it on my bandsaw. I cut it down to 1 inch. Actually, I cut it down to 1 1/8 on the walnut too, and run it through the drum sander, and took it down to make it nice and smooth and level on the drum sander to 1 inch thick. All this wood that I am having, oops, see, now that went off the line. I hit a hard spot in the wood and it took me off the line. Fortunately, it took me outside the line and not inside the line. So that's really very good. So I'm going to go back and slowly go back down, and yes, I'm able to follow the line. You'll have those spots, and don't get frustrated and think when you do that and that happens to you that you have messed up and it's your fault that you just ran off the line like that. You ran into a section, and it's right in here, even though you may not be able to see it. I ran into a section of the wood, of the grain of the wood, that I guess it was softer, and the blade just wanted to follow over to the left. Now, fortunately, like I said, it was out, you can't hardly see it, but it was outside the line, which is great, because I'm not going to need that piece outside the line. I'm looking for the piece on the inside of the line. And it will happen. There's nothing you can do about it. It's going to follow the grain of the wood the best you can do. And I've been scrolling along enough time, I know it. You just go, oops. Well, if it goes inside the line, then you're just going to have to deal with it and make some sanding or make it look right. But it's not necessarily your fault sometimes. It's not that you didn't guide the blade just right. Trust me. Sometimes that blade will follow the path of less resistance, and I guess right in that little area, some of those cells in that area of the wood were softer than others, and it decided to follow it. Thank God it was outside the line. If you start smelling the wood burning, you're pushing too hard, too fast. There it did it again. It started to want to go straight on that corner. And I stopped it and really quick went back. But yeah, if you're smelling a burning, you're pushing the blade too hard, too quick. Yeah, see, it's wanting to get off on this corner a little bit. Now, some of this could be the blade getting dull. And how I'm going to know that is if it continues it consistently. When I get through with this and started in the next piece, if it consistently wants to go off track, then the blade's dull. I'm going to pull the blade out and change it. Right now, I'm contributing it to the different soft and hard grain pieces in the wood. But if it consistently, when it goes into the next piece, when I try to cut it, if it starts right off the bat trying to not follow the line, the blade's shot. I need to replace it. That's a very good signal. If If the blade doesn't do what you want it to do, it's probably dull. And guess what? The blade just broke. Yep. So the blade just broke. So that I see. I think it was the blade that there at the end because I noticed it wanted to wander some more. Now I don't think it was that. It was the blade wandering and back in the very beginning. I think that was just the way it took off. From my years of experience, told me that that was a soft place in the wood. But as I noticed as I was coming into these curves, it wanted to wander a little bit, and I'm thinking like, yeah, I think this blade is getting soft, so or dull, and then it breaks. Well, I'm surprised we made it that far. We did. That blade did really, really good. This red oak is nothing to slouch about as far as how hard it is. So, look, guys, while I'm fixing to change this blade, I need to take a couple of minutes, at least 1 minute or so, for a little break. So I'm going to put you on. I'll be right back, and I'll be right back. Put it. Okay, we're having a discussion. I took a potty break, and they were wanting to know how long it was going to take. Come on, guys, give me a break. Uh, I'm sorry that at 60 years old that I just got through eating. This show starts at 7:30. We eat dinner between 6 and 7, so I had a couple of glasses of tea. You know, that's coming down the pipe. Hold on, I want to. Let me look at something real quick. All right, so let me change this blade. I heard you, and I'm not answering you because I'd have to answer it all the way out in public. Are you that? I'm gonna get rid of these two guys in my ear, I swear. Yeah, I'm gonna get rid of all y'all guys. Alright, so let me get this bottom piece up so I can get this blade in. Alright, I can't see. There we go. Much better. Now, where were we? Oh wow, we're way down over here. So I think I'm going to make a cut across here into this and a cut across here to pull this piece out of the way. While these blades cut so incredibly good sometimes that it's really hard to get the pieces apart. I'm using a number 3. And actually this piece come all the way out. So this is the only piece that I have left to cut. Is right through here. This is a number 3 Pegasus Ultra Reverse Scroll Saw Blade. Number 3 Pegasus. So there we have his tail. I'm going to turn on the big vacuum. I got a lot of dust laying here on the table, and I'm kind of sensitive to my sinus has been bothering me. Let me get this stuff up off the table. So it's not quite blowing in my face. Okay, let me turn that back off. Okay, we're going after this piece next. And I believe this is the upper part of his eye. Yes, it is, because that's his nostril right there. So this is the part above his eye that we're doing right now. This part right here. So I'm still feeling pretty comfortable with that we made it that far with that one Pegasus blade with 1 inch thick red oak. If we make it through the rest of this with one blade, I'll be surprised. That'll be saying a lot about the blades. I think we're going to need 3 blades to complete it, but we'll see. 3 blades in all sincerity would be. Now yeah, I'm not going to cut his nostril out at this moment. I'm going to lead it, and if I need to, I'll come back and do that little piece later. I'm just going to continue to cut on around. That might be a mistake. I won't know until I go to put it together, and if I try to cut that piece. Now this is a real fine, abrupt place right here that needs a lot of attention. So I'm going to cut up like that, then I'm coming out like this, and then cutting back up into this to make that cut. It doesn't want to pop out, which that'll be fine. That'll allow me to bring the blade around. Alright, it's wanting to be stubborn. Oh, there it went. It got sucked down. I wanted that piece out of there to keep me from getting in trouble, so I just kept on cutting into it till I finally got it small enough where it fell down through, so that's good. So let's go right into here. I'll take this first. Alright, that's not wanting to turn. Wants to know what I am cutting a piece of red oak for a Squirrel scroll saw project. Intarsia scroll saw project to be exact. Yeah, I'm doing an Intarsia Squirrel, Paul, John's life, and I'm cutting the pieces out of a piece. Some of the pieces I've decided that I want to use red oak. That's what I have here, and I have the pattern of the pieces in the red oak. Okay, there's that piece there. Where do we want to go next? Let me look at this. I think we're going to just keep on coming up into this corner and doing this piece. If you didn't watch Paul John's Life, if you didn't watch last week, scrolling here on Twitch, you need to go back and watch that video, and then you'll understand more as to what we're doing. It's not that I'm trying to promote the video. Yeah, I'm lying. Go but watch the other video. No, but in all sincerity, that will bring you up to date as to what we're doing. Like after this, after we get through with this one, if you'll go watch the other one, you'll understand. I've been wanting to try some Intarsia for a while. I used to do it. I got kind of bored and tired with it and burnt out with it. And I haven't done it in years, so I'm going to try to get back into some Intarsia and see how it works. Once again, I can tell when I go with the grain of the wood, it does not cut as easy as it does when I'm going across the grain of the wood. Tell that big time. No. Nah. Not really. Not when you're doing something like this. If I was going to do a bunch of one or the other, then yeah, I might go to a little bit different blade, like a skip tooth or something. But decisions. I'm going to go on the outside of this, and then if I want to, I can come back and cut this. No, I'm not. I'm going to just follow around his fingers. A lot when you're doing a lot of this work, when you're talking about what Jim was just asking, and he was asking, is there a better blade for cutting for like the cross cuts compared to the with the grain? Jim Bashirs was just asking that in my ear. And Jim, if you'd be so kind when you ask me a question, if you would type it into the chat so other people would know. Um, Before the great ultra reverse blades, a lot of people use skip tooth blades to do hardwood because it would clear the path really good, and skip tooth blades do cut really well with the grain of the wood. But then you're looking at the fact that if I used a skip tooth blade to clear the grain, to see now it's wanting to wander off. So I don't think I've been cutting that long on this blade to get it dull. If you changed over to a skip tooth blade to do that, you're not going to get the nice, smooth, even cut that these ultra reverse actually give you. So even though it's cutting a little bit, yep, it's wandering off again. Even though these ultra reverse may do what I'm talking about, that when I'm cutting along with the grain of the wood, it seems to not cut as easy, you're still better off using them because it's such a smooth, clean cut that it's really not making that much of a difference. Okay, so it takes me 1.5 seconds to cut it compared to 2 seconds to cut it, so I'm losing a half of a second. Yeah, it's the amount of time I'm losing or whatever is not worth changing the blade. It's just I can tell without a shadow of a doubt when I'm cutting this that when I'm cutting with the grain of the wood, it cuts slower than I'm cutting across the grain. There's his little paw, his little fingers. See, this is the outside of his little paw right here. Alright, we're going to go for this. This is one of his ears. I should have had two of his ears in this section. Was that what I cut earlier? Might have been. Now, we don't care about the inside. Actually, ooh. Okay, they left me a place where I can come in down here. I was fixing to say I had needed to bore a hole, but I just realized down here in this bottom corner, if you look real close, I'm afraid if I get the camera too close, you won't be able to see it because it sometimes goes fuzzy. Now this is a joint right here where I can come in with my blade. The end tie piece white comes in down right into the other piece, so I can go in there. So here we go, we're going across. See how quickly that cuts? And then we'll go down. And then we're going to come up on the inside of this. This is going to have to be cut out because this is going to be a piece of white maple. Or maple's not perfectly white, but it's going to be a piece of maple that goes into this. Okay, then now we just simply continue on around the outside and just leave that little centerpiece in there. It should float around in there nicely and not cause me any problems. Oop, now we're going to the inside. Yeah, wanted to wander the inside that time. Thank God this is the ear that's sticking. Out. So I'm just going to cut this corner out. Which will relieve that, which should help me push these two pieces out. This piece I don't care about. This is going to be the maple. Although I think I'll hang on to it just to... This is the piece I want. Here. I'm going to cut through this. Get rid of this. I'm really wondering about what to do about this part of the hand. So I'm not going to cut this out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to chop this piece down. Which I'm doing now. And I'm going to cut this piece out here. If I cut this piece out here now and I get it so small, I'll never be able to hold on to it. I'll end up having to cut it back out of a bigger piece, if that makes sense. It's because it's going to be really, really small. And until I study the pattern and figure out which way I want to go with this, which I'll explain to you why I did that, but I need some time to look for myself to decide what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave it in this bigger piece so that if I do decide to cut out these little pieces, I'll be able to hang on to it to cut it. So I need to look at this and study it a little bit to decide what I want to do. and I'm not sure. Once I make that decision, though, I'll make sure that y'all understand why I made that decision and what it needs to be done. You just it's one of those things I got to look at for myself and discover what I want to do with it. And this is decisions you're going to be making whenever you make these patterns also. You'll find some pieces or run into some pieces that you look at the pattern and it may not answer the question. You'll have to resolve that issue within yourself. Or if you have a friend or somebody that's cut this pattern before, you can ask them. If this is a pattern that I had cut several times, then I probably would be okay and know what I was actually doing. But this is my first time cutting this pattern, and this is the first time in a long time of me actually doing some Intarsia. So I mean, it's coming back to me. No big deal. Kind of like riding a bicycle. It's kind of, you haven't been one-on-one in years, but yet if you got on one, you could pretty well ride it again. Maybe not as efficiently as you did when you were a teenager, but you can still ride it. Now what I was doing down there was I watering out. This comes to a really, really sharp point. So I went outside the line and watered a hole so I could turn my blade around and come back up, so that this side would be nice and sharp, and then come back up on this side and it'll be nice and sharp. Okay. Pretty well does it for that. And to be honest with you, I'm pretty well done with it. Oh, come on. Get up over here. What little piece? I already forgot about it. No, you're talking about, yeah, this piece. Yeah, I better stick that up there. You're right, I will forget. Well, it can't go in the vacuum cleaner now, but I threw it in the garbage. Paul was so gracious to remind me that I had a little piece attached to this because I already threw the whole thing over in the garbage. Here, let me cut this off. And that's the piece I want to keep. Remember the little fingers? I already chucked this rest of this piece back over in the garbage, so that's the piece I want to keep. So let's get this up out of my way. Oh, man, for some reason when I get this blade on the bottom tight, it is tight. Wow, can't hardly break it. I'm going to pull the blade through. Okay, so here's my squirrel, and here's my pattern for my squirrel. Actually, I think y'all can see it better this way. Yeah, y'all can see it better this way. Okay, so this piece goes here, like that. This piece goes here. Like that. So far, so good. This piece goes here. Like that. That piece goes there. Like that. And this piece goes here. That piece goes there. And this piece goes there. That piece okay, I'm not sure that piece goes there. I need to study this for a second. Yeah, I don't realize where this piece goes. Actually, yes, it does. It goes right there. Yep, it goes right there. Okay. So that is all the pieces I have cut out of this reddish colored wood. This piece, 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 and then the back piece. That's all what I have cut out. That's in the reddish. I haven't had a chance to get the maple, and I'm not going to probably get to the maple anyway. So that's all that cut out right now. Seems to fit pretty good. I'm really pleased with the way it fits. So there we have that. So there's plenty of time. We got 20 minutes left before 9 o'clock, or Yeah. All right. So I do want to keep this and this. So what we'll do now then is I've got two pieces. I'm going to gently see if I can lift him up and move things around over here. And set that over there out of the way. And then I've got my piece of walnut. Give me a second here. Oh, why is it when you grab one thing, 20 things want to fall? Okay, so this is a big chunk of walnut. Gravity. This is a big chunk of walnut. Wow, we got 19 people out there watching, 20 people out there watching. It's popped up to 20. So thank you very much. I appreciate y'all all being out there. Dennis is out there. Jim Bashir's. Chris Nealon's out there. Have we seen Katie out there? Paul John's Life. Yep. Michelle Marcoux. Thank you. Okay, so this is the tail. Which is back here, the dark brown part of the tail. That's this part. And then this is the three pieces here. I think, yeah, I'm going to individually cut them out. Yeah, I think I'm going to individually cut these pieces out. In other words, I'll cut this bottom piece out and then this piece. I'll cut this piece out here, and then this piece here, and then this piece here. So that's the way we'll work out around that. So let me, if I can get my scroll saw blade back up through here. I haven't bent it too terribly bad. These arrows are going, all arrows go with the grain on these. Oops, and I broke it. That's all right. Wow. I do not know why this bottom clamp, and I really don't put that much pressure on it. Yes. I can't hear what you're saying, Al. No, your volume is really low compared to like Jim's and. Yeah, what would you say now? Yeah, it makes you think of Romper Room, huh? I got Billy, and I've got Johnny, and all these wonderful kids, and I have misplaced my blades. Ah, I found them. Alright, let me get a blade back in here. That's one of the defaults of the Pegasus blades that I don't like, is you have to actually look at the teeth on the Pegasus on the Flying Dutchman, the top of an ultra reverse blade had a kink in it to tell you that this is the top of the blade. Oh, come on now. Why are you making this such an absolute pain in the butt? Thank you. You finally went in for me. I appreciate that. The only time this spring becomes a pain in the butt is putting on the blade, because you have to put the tension back. To pull down on the spring that I have that lifts it up for me. Okay. Now we got another blade in here. That issue's been resolved. That wouldn't have broke if I hadn't kinked it underneath the table. So let's go ahead and start right here. Now this is walnut, so I'm interested in seeing how it cuts a little different from the other. So, oh, you wouldn't believe what I just did. Everybody take a guess what I just did. Huh? No, I didn't break the blade. Come on, guess. Huh? Backward blade, yes. I put the blade in backwards. I sure did, and I'm going to unhook this part right here to give me a little bit of help to put this blade in, so I ain't got to fight with it. Yeah, I put the blade in backwards. As soon as I pushed, I was like, whoa, wait, just 1 second. This is not cutting very good. Why is it not cutting? That is not going to be the first time that I've ever put a blade in backwards. And I totally assure you, yes, the back of the blade was facing forward. Like I said, that's not the first time I've ever done that, and it probably won't be the last time I've ever done it either. So, oh, okay. So let's try this again with the teeth pointing forward rather than in reverse. I should have just flipped it around and cut it from the back side. Then I'd been fine. Y'all would have never even noticed. So here we go. Yep. So here we go. Let's see how this walnut cuts. So far, so good. I mean, it's really... Oh, this is cutting with the grain. It's cutting easy compared to the Um, the red oak. Do what? Yes, you can. You just reverse the blade. You can pull stuff into the blade if you wanted. I've done it a few times on certain things when I needed to do like odd cuts or whatever, but most of them were not for scroll saw projects. What we're talking about is, could you put the blade in backwards and pull stuff towards you? Yes, you could. And on a few things I've done that just because it cut better pulling it towards me, but it was not stuff for scroll saw patterns. It was stuff for making something that I was building or making on the side that I just happened to use the scroll saw to cut with. So, but yes, it'll cut. But let me go back to what I'm talking about. Is this with the grain on this walnut with this Pegasus number 3 is cutting like hot butter. See, that red oak is a little bit tighter, harder grain than walnut. Or maybe it's softer grain than walnut, and like when you're cutting through with the grain, it wants to collapse upon itself rather than you're cutting through it. That's a possibility also. I just know this walnut's cutting sweet. I need to get the picture to see where. Okay, yep, I'm following right. Oh yeah, this cut is cutting, even at this thick, it is cutting like hot butter. I mean, yeah, it's not struggling. It's not fighting with the grain or against the grain. Here I need to make a nice abrupt 90, so I'm going to cut this out a little bit, be able to turn my blade and go this direction. Oh yeah, this is nice. I remember cutting some walnut for somebody a few years ago wanted me to make them a cross out of a solid piece of walnut, and I think that this piece that I'm cutting it out of is the remnants from that cross. I bought a pretty good amount so I could have it for doing other stuff. And I remember we cut his, I don't remember if it was 1 inch or 3/4 inch, but I remember it cut really sweet. Even at that thickness. Now there's a hole in the pattern where this didn't cut, so I'm going to have to guesstimate where it goes. Since this is on the bottom of the squirrel, it's really not that big of a deal. It's Squirrelnado. Type in Squirrelnado. And I have it hooked to a vacuum cleaner, a wet and dry vacuum cleaner that's outside of the shop in a closet. I have a closet on the outside of the shop that's for all my shovels and hoes and rakes and stuff like that for the yard tools. They're not in here. It's a big closet. It's probably a little over 2 foot deep by 4 foot long. And I just stuck the vacuum cleaner in there and piped it into here. Yeah, this is cutting, oh, so sweet. Need to back this up a little bit so I can see the blade a little bit better. That black tube was up against the, right up against the blade, making it hard for me to be able to actually see the blade. Here, let's come on out with this. So there's the first piece. Yes, it cuts real smooth. I'm going to break this. Well, I ain't going to break that. It's a little tougher than what I thought, so I'm going to cut it through right here. Okay, so let's cut this piece out, which is going to start right here. I'm going to go out into here. I'm going to do a little circle, open up an area so I can get back down to here, because that's a nice, crisp, sharp corner. And when you hear this thing chattering, it's because I'm trying, or I'm not putting as much force down on it as I probably should. I'm trying to light handle it, so to speak. Here's the next piece. It's just my nature. That piece fits into that piece like that. So that's the reason I'm getting that crap, I could have turned that off a long time ago. And I had to try to hear over it. A second vacuum cleaner kicking in for this part here makes a lot of noise. There. Get rid of that. So I'm not pushing down, and that chatter is ultra reverse blade is cutting up and down. The top part of the blade cuts on the downstroke, and the bottom part comes up on the upstroke and cuts. If you look at the teeth, you can see what I'm saying. So that chatter you're getting is I'm not applying enough force to keep it really hard down on the table, and it's wanting to vibrate a little bit. It doesn't scare me. It doesn't bother me. I'm aware of it. I know what I'm doing, but it's just I put just enough force on it to keep it down on the table. I don't over push down. So sometimes I'm a little too light on it, and you get that chattering. All right, so let's get this piece cut out for the end of the show. So what I mean by, I'm just letting it go right now, and it's not doing that much of a chatter, but you'll get it. Let's get this walnut is cutting so beautifully that I want to go ahead and get this cut out before the end of the show. Excuse me for coughing into the mic. I don't mean to, but I got my hands on a piece of work, and I can't let go and put them up to my mouth before I would cough. And Okay, now this is where I really got to take my time because these pieces butt up against this here and they're not out in the open. So I really need to follow on this line. Wow, it's getting to me. This is cutting sweet. Really nice. I love the smell of walnut too when I'm cutting it. Kind of has an earthy smell. Where did I come in at? Oh, way up here. All right. I'll cut through this right here. to release these pieces. And that's still a nice chunk of walnut that I could use. So let me clean off my workspace. Let me let my blade off so I can raise this up in the air. And get it up there out of the way. Pull this blade through, even though that's probably going to break again. Bring a little guy back over. See if we can realign some of this stuff real quick. Okay, so this and this piece go here. Like so. And then this piece oops, that goes up here. Oh, come on. You're that tight? Wow. Yeah, I'm not going to try to break it. It's really, really, really tight. Yeah. All right. So that's all the pieces we've got come out tonight. This piece in here, these pieces in here, the piece inside of his ear is white, around his eye is white and black. All three of these pieces that are down in here are all white. I've got some white pieces across the front. So I got most of him cut out tonight. I don't even have the maple ready, so I've got to get it ready tomorrow, so I'll probably be doing that. So probably what I will do then is y'all want to carry it out. How many more times you want to carry this out? Do you want to carry it to a 4? Because what I can do is I can get the maple done and cut out so we don't have to waste that much time, and then come back next week and actually do some sanding with this on it and show off the Guinevere sander, do some sanding with it. And then the following week, then what I don't get sanded or whatever I need the time to, can sand it that week, and the following Wednesday we'll put it to start putting it together and get as much done as we can put together. And then that'll be it. And when if we don't get everything put together that Wednesday night, I'll finish putting together and post the pics. Does that sound good for everybody? Okay. Does that sound good to Paul and You and Al and Jim? Yep. Okay. Well, that's what we'll do then. All right. So I'll get these maple pieces. I've got to cut it out of a piece of maple, 1 inch thick, and mill it, in other words, down. And then I'll go ahead and cut the white pieces out, the black piece for his eye and everything, get all that stuff done and cut out. So the next show, all we have to do is start sanding. We'll sand and talk about sanding, and then the following show we'll put it together and go as far as we can go. Sounds good. Looking really good. I would really like to. What time is it, guys? 9:12. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, we've already went. Where does the squirrel keep its nuts? We won't go there. So anyway, so yeah, I think it looks really good. Good job. Sounds good here. Good. Got Mama home today, and she is doing good. And how is your niece? She's doing pretty good. She's having a few rough days. Matter of fact, Friday I'm supposed to go pick her up, and we're going to go to lunch together. And just a real quick thing is I never met my grandfather on my father's side. My father's father. He was dead before I was ever born, so I never met him. And to be honest with you, my father was so old, we never went and visited his grave. I don't even know where he was buried. My niece knows where he is buried at. So I'm going to go if everything goes right, I'm going to go pick her up Friday morning, and we're going to go have lunch, and then she's going to take me to the cemetery where my grandfather is buried. I'm going to see my grandfather's grave for the first time in my life. So yeah, I've never known where he was buried at. So pretty cool. But she's doing good. She's doing good. She's supposed to start her immune therapy. I mean, I hate to say this, but guys, if you can spare a couple of bucks, she's in a real desperate need. I have pasted her um, GoFundMe page, and she's really disappointed and downhearted as far as she hasn't got that much money, and that the money she's got she's already spent, and it's not enough to pay her bills this month. She's not got any income because she can't work because she's so sick, and so her bills are due the first of the month, and she doesn't have any way of paying them. I'm going to help her as much as I can, but I can't pay all of her bills. And so, and I'm not crying, I'm bleeding heart. It's just that if you could spare a couple of bucks, go over to my Facebook page, Russell Clarity, and look down there. You'll find her GoFundMe page. I posted it several places, and if y'all could make a donation, whatever it is, will help. Trust me, because she's getting desperate. She's got her house payment due, her electric. She has internet, but she don't have it. Her internet service is not TV because she watches. She has internet in her home, but she watches the off her iPad, like Netflix and stuff like that, off of her iPad because she can't afford the full-blown TV service, so she just gets internet. So she has electric, water, groceries, and a house payment. You know, it's not a lot of money she needs, but it's she's in need, and she hasn't got the donations, and I'm really kind of shocked. I know I see other people put up their GoFundMe pages, and they get quite a lot of money, and I'm thinking like, wow. So, and I've posted it 2 or 3 places, but I understand it's after Christmas. You're not telling me anything I don't know. It's right after Christmas. We just spent a buttload of money on our kids for Christmas, and now she's found out that she has cancer and needs some financial help, and I'm going to help her. Don't get me wrong, I am going to help her, but it's right after Christmas. There's a lot of people out there hurting right now and don't have a lot of money. They're struggling from making the bill payments, paying their credit cards for what they charged it for their kids for Christmas. So I understand. I totally understand. I get it. I understand. But if you could spare anything, she would appreciate it, and I would appreciate it so very, very, very much. So, well, guys, it's time we get out of here. Well, like I said, we'll do this next week. I'll try to get it to the position, all this off of it to the point where in the mall, I'm going to use maple for these white places. I'll try to get it all done and ready for next show, and we'll do some sanding with the Guinevere. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do it yet. We will probably end up being outside, depending on the weather. Or I'll be sitting in front of the door with the fans blowing out the door to try to get rid of some of the dust, and I'll have to have a dust mask and everything. I got a lot of dust tonight, so I'm kind of worried about my sinuses. Trust me, I'm gonna go in and I think irrigate my sinuses to get rid of this stuff. So, but yeah, I'll work out something if it's not if it's raining or too cold or whatever. I can sit at the door over there and have it. Actually, I could just open the door to the CNC and set up on top of the CNC and sand it right there, because that big sucker in the back of that CNC sucks out all the CNC dust, so that might work even better. We'll see. We'll figure something out by next. I'll figure it out by next Wednesday. So, well, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Saw Stop lives. What do you mean, Chris Nealon? Saw Stop lives. Yeah, I got a big old 12-inch tube in the back of my CNC to suck dust out. That might be the perfect place to sit up and do the sanding and let it just pull it out through there. So, Dennis said surgery for me next Wednesday. I will hope I will be able to turn in that night. Oh, okay. I'll be praying for you. Surgery for you next Wednesday. Okay, great. Wow. Didn't know you were having, not great, but I didn't know you were having surgery. Good luck. The best of you. Best to you, and I'll keep you in my thoughts and prayers. All right, let's get out of here. It's 9 something. I appreciate you watching me very, very, very much. Thank you all. So there's only one thing we got left to do, and that is, yes. What, Al?
Sing it, Russ.
Oh, sing it, Russ. He said, sing it, Russ. Oh, I thought he was trying to tell me something. Anyway, when the sun comes a peeping into where I'm sleeping, it's out to my shop I go, just making piles of sawdust and getting covered from head to toe. Good night, everybody. Thank you so very much for being here and watching me, and God bless.